Hey, it's JT here. I hesitated for many days to make this video because it's still a sore subject for me, but I figure best way to move on is to make it sort of public and get it out of my own mouth and tell people about it and hopefully help them. It's about self-injury, and I know, don't flip off the video. Um, it's misunderstood. And I'm not saying that it's okay or the right thing to do. It's never the right thing to do, but it's a coping strategy. Um, but just unless you don't feel comfortable, try to watch the video, try to listen as objectively as you can. Um, and I was looking up facts and what's known about self-injury, and four myths seem to really come up among people that don't know about it, and don't understand it, and think it's wrong and whatever. Um, the first is that you're trying to get attention, and when we self-injure, we do it in private. It's not a public thing, obviously, and most often the shame and fear prevent us from telling someone, reaching out for help. So the fact that we're trying to get attention, it's not a fact. Um, that's a crazy myth, and we it's just not true. It's too difficult to really express the fact that that's an awful myth to think is true. The second is that self-injurious behavior, uh, the people are crazy and or dangerous. It's none of the above. We cope with the self-injury to deal with anxiety, depression, previous trauma. It's all mental, and it's just a physical reaction to the mental symptoms, just like substance abuse. A lot of people I know who abuse substances also injure themselves, and it's just another way of coping. The third myth is that people that do this want to die, and there's a massive difference between being suicidal and um, injuring yourself with an instrument. We're not trying to kill ourselves. We just can't go on living the way we are because we're in so much mental pain at the moment. The short term, it actually helps you go on day to day living. It helps you cope with the mental crap in your head, and it lets you function, so to speak. But the long term, statistically, is you are more likely to attempt suicide because you're so used to it. Um, so we're not trying to kill ourselves or die. We're just um, mentally hurting so much that we don't know how else to cope. And the fourth thing, from people outside the knowledge, is that if the wounds aren't bad, it's not serious. And this actually applies to people, even those that do self-injure. The severity of their wounds makes no difference. If someone injures themselves, there's a lot going on mentally, and they need help whether they realize it, want it, or not. If you know someone that is injuring themselves or yourself and it's extremely private, um, try to get that person help. And it's not you know, a judgment thing. Um, Millions of people do this, as far as I'm concerned, and we're not proud of it. When I did it, I wasn't proud of it. I enjoyed it in the short term, but those physical scars really remind me of what I don't want to go back to. Um, a couple of reasons why we self-injure. We express feelings we can't put into words. We're releasing internal pain or tension that we just don't know how to deal with. It's too much. It distracts you. This is, I think, one of the big reasons for me is it distracts you from the outside pain. Um, Circumstances that you might be in your life, mental, physical abuse, emotions that you're just confused by and pissed off with. You cope. Um, you are relieving guilt and punishing yourself, and the punishment relieves the guilt, and it's a sick little cycle, because you injure yourself to relieve the guilt and the shame. but I found I had guilt and shame after I did it, so it's always two-pronged. Um, and probably the biggest thing for me is that when I injured myself, um, I was completely mentally numb, either with a substance or in sobriety when I just wasn't feeling anything. And it makes you feel something instead of feeling that numbness, because at the time I felt that I'd rather feel pain than nothing, um, and it worked. But stopping is crucial because I found out it can be addicting. If you repeat the action, uh, you sort of immediately go to the self injury as a way to cope. And if you don't arrest it just like an addiction, um, it can progress over the years. People in their 40s that I know still do it, and I knew I did not want to be in that state of mind where that's how I cope. Um, it's important to learn to deal with your emotions in a positive, reality-based way, and that's through help, through counseling, through medication if need be. Um, it's really important to get that mental help, and it's so much harder to get the mental help than you think, but once you get through a few of the bricks, it eases the tension. Um, and a reminder is it's only temporary relief. The long term is you have the scars. Long term is it becomes addicting, um, and also you can hurt yourself worse than you intended, and that's often why people wind up in the hospital and people misrepresent, misjudge, and think that they're trying to kill themselves. Um, the more you injure yourself, the more likely you are to injure yourself worse each time. And there's a fine line between that uh, sort of supposedly safe injury and the life-threatening one. So that's just a little bit of facts about self-injury, and I'll probably post another video on my experience. Hope that didn't take too long, and I hope you were responsive to it and coherent to it. I know it's not an easy subject to listen to and to hear about if you did it or you know someone that did it or does it, but it's prevalent and I think really important. So be healthy.